When I think about my favorite anime, I usually think about Yu Hakusho. Hands down, it is in my top 5 of all time. Continually. In fact, it's the only anime I regularly go back and rewatch from beginning to end. 112 episodes, and it's just a banger. And if you haven't watched it, fix it. Go watch it. I remember watching this when it was airing on Toonami, and I was blown away. I don't know why this series stuck out with me more than Dragon Ball Z, and all the rest. And it kind of set me up with the whole, my favorite character is kind of more of the goofier one, which, by the way, for this series, it's Kuwabara. I know that Hiei is generally a fan favorite, or, Kurama. But for me, it's always been Kuwabara, and I gotta say, this series, from beginning to end, I love it. It's emotional, you really connect with the characters, and this might be the hot take, but I think that this is actually Yoshihiro Togashi's magnum opus. It's better, in my opinion, than Hunter x Hunter. And that's a controversial take. You can argue that there were two specific peaks in Yu Hakusho, but the problem is Yoshihiro Togashi's health absolutely fell apart when he was working on Chapter Black. And had it not been falling apart at that time, I think Chapter Black would have been way better than the Dark Tournament. The thing is, because of his health, he rushed certain things, some ideas didn't fully get fleshed out, but the potential was there. One of the things with Yu Hakusho is, sadly, that there's a lot of storylines that could have been that didn't because of Yoshihiro Togashi's health. The Dark Tournament was probably one of the longest tournament arcs I have ever watched in anime. It's close to 30 some odd episodes, and you go through all the rounds, and it's incredible. There's a lot of different fighting. You have to use different techniques. Like, all the characters had to really think about what they had to do. They were trying to train and become stronger because the main bad guys were so overpowered compared to them. And it was incredible, emotional. The stakes were that if they didn't enter the tournament and fight and win, everyone they knew were going to be killed, including them. And it was great. And then you continue with the storyline with Toguro and what's been going on with Genkai, and that builds up over the arc as well. It's just great. So, in the arc prior, Yusuke and Kuwabara go on a mission to save Hiei's sister from a evil gangster named Tarukane. And Tarukane is making Hiei's sister cry these gemstones that are worth insane amounts of money. And whenever she has any tears, they immediately crystallize. So that sets them off where they have to go save her, and the story just goes absolutely crazy after this arc, because Toguro and his older brother, Elder Toguro, they see potential in Yusuke and Kuwabara, so they decide to fake losing in order to get them to go to the tournament. And then it happens. They're forced to fight in round after round with the way the system works in the Dark Tournament, where it's almost impossible. And they have to work as a team and survive and make it to the very end against impossible odds. And the fighting in the tournament is incredible. Some of the characters, like Chu and Jin, I can't remember all the names right now, but just incredible fights. And these characters really leave a lasting impression. And Then you get to the final round. Toguro kills Kuwabara. Well, sort of. That's not quite how it exactly happens, but it's enough to push Yusuke to his absolute limit. Using everything, all the power Genkai gave him in the spirit wave, all of that. And it's an incredible fight and emotional. And in the end, Yusuke triumphs over Toguro. And it's heavy and emotional, and then you get to see Toguro in the afterlife where he opts to send himself to hell. The worst hell, because of the actions he did in life. You see, you find out during the tournament arc that the reason Toguro is the way he is that everyone he knew was killed by demons, except for Genkai and Elder Toguro. And the three of them fought through the tournament in the past, and then the prize that they got to choose, Genkai chose to be left alone and to never have to do this again. But Toguro, in his sadness and grief, wanted to become a demon himself, to become powerful, to never be able to lose. And well, the power seemed to corrupt his older brother more than him, because younger Toguro still had a lot of his nobility. It still was a tragedy. Those final moments between Genkai and Toguro are heartbreaking. And that's one of the reasons I absolutely hated the live-action version. So, a couple months pass by, and Yusuke's getting frustrated. Now that he defeated the strongest enemy out there, he feels empty, alone, and he doesn't feel like he has any challenges left in life. And yet, another threat is rising. And quite frankly, had Yoshihiro Togashi's health not fallen apart during this story arc probably would have far, far surpassed the Dark Tournament. Chapter Black. So begins the last full-length arc in Yu Hakusho. The villain, a former spirit detective just like Yusuke. The difference? He has been corrupted and turned evil, and has powers far greater than Toguro. And unlike Toguro, he doesn't hold any punches back. Sinsui's plan is to build a portal to the demon world so he may cross over. But in doing so, the barrier between our world and the demon world will be shattered, and powerful demons far stronger than Toguro will be able to come to Earth, and Earth will be in great danger of being completely wiped out. And it's up to Yusuke and his friends to stop him. But on top of that, there's even more. The creation of the portal is causing the latent energy in the area to affect people who have moderate psychic powers to begin developing powers of their own. And this is probably a big inspiration for the power system in Hunter x Hunter, was what came out of this arc. So these people all begin to develop very strange powers. Some are good and some are evil. Sinsui has his own crew ready to assist him, all with their own special powers and abilities, and they called it territories. And when you were in a territory, you could not do anything except play by the rules of that territory. And that's a very important point. And during this entire arc, Kuwabara's spiritual power has been missing. And the reason is, it was evolving to be prepared for what was coming. The way the story had been building up, it made it look like Sinsui was more obsessed with Yusuke. But in reality, he wanted to get Kuwabara because he knew Kuwabara's power was changing to exactly what he needed it to be. And let's just take a moment for peak Kuwabara design. This was his best outfit, hands down. Sinsui sent Seaman, or Kiyoshi, to go capture Kuwabara and Kuwabara's friends. and pushes Kuwabara further than ever before, and his spirit sword comes back in that moment, and it allows him to cut through dimensions and territories. Nothing can withstand his blade, and that is exactly what Sensui wanted. So the final part comes down to having to get in there and rescue Kuwabara before he can be eaten by Gourmet, who has the ability to eat anything and absorb their powers. And of course it turns out it's actually really Elder Toguro having taken over Gourmet's body. But it's pretty crazy, and Sensui almost wins. You see, this is where Yoshihiro Togashi's health and his issues with his health really began to pick up. The final fight with Sensui was good, but it began to falter, and some things got rushed because he was having a lot of health problems. He had a very bad back, and it was getting to the point where it was unbearable for him to work. Sadly, this made the rest of Yu Yu Hakusho fall apart, and while Chapter Black was set up to be unbelievably great, it kind of faltered at the very end. It was still good, but it could have been amazing. Sadly, it was after this that he really wanted to get out of writing Yu Yu Hakusho, because with his back hurting and everything to the point where he could not work without being in immense pain, it made the series falter. And while I love what little we got with the Three Kings arc following this, it could have also been one of the best arcs in anime, period. But with his health faltering, it was rushed, and then it ended, and it was kind of unsatisfying. Thankfully, he took a lot of time off, was able to recover, and he came back to do Hunter x Hunter. But even with Hunter x Hunter, he had moments, especially during the Chimera Ant arc, where his health started to fall apart again. And it's gotten to the point where he's putting out maybe 1 or 2 chapters a month if we're lucky, sometimes not even that much. And I just wanted to say thank you for all your hard work, Yoshihiro. But maybe you should retire if this is too much of a painful thing. But anyways, to get back to this, I would rate Yu Yu Hakusho above Dragon Ball Z, pretty much any shonen anime, other than One Piece, because One Piece is my all-time favorite. But Yu Yu Hakusho, especially from the era it's from, is the king of the anime. I would put this as the peak of the, early 2000s for me. And real quick before I end the video, I just wanted to shout out one of my favorite Yu Yu Hakusho channels, Somewhere Past Never. If you haven't watched any of his videos, they are incredible, and he does a much better job than I did summarizing Yu Yu Hakusho. I highly suggest you check out that channel if you love Yu Yu Hakusho.